That was almost an accident. Hey everybody, we're live on all these different channels here. We're just like doing our little thing.
Making it work.
Hey. Happy Tuesday and welcome back.
Yes, welcome back. Don't hate. Don't hate.
Someone's gonna want royalties because you just sound so good.
That's true.
Right? See.
You're right, cuz.
Right. Yep. So we don't want to pay the royalties, so we're just gonna stop singing that song.
Oh my gosh. Hey, you guys.
So we're talking about
Do men hate women?
Men hate women.
So I don't know if you're on social media a lot and you look through reels, if you're the type of person that stays up at 2 and 3 in the morning Googling how tall is Jesus, just,
Not
laughing
2 and 3 in the morning.
2 and 3 in the morning, just zoning out like a toddler, watching reels and laughing at different stuff. And then you come across all kinds of podcasts and conversational pieces. And so I have done that, and I'm a fan of social media. I think it is definitely a blessing. It's a way to keep in contact with folks, and it's definitely a way to keep your pulse on what people are talking about. And right now, people are talking about the men hating women. So it really wasn't a question in some of the reels that I saw. It was more of a statement. I saw a podcast in which this young black man was interviewing two other brothers, and they looked to be in their 30s, 40s, and the two guys that were being interviewed were married. They were having a conversation, and they said they love their wives, and the interviewer said, well, do you like your wives? And both men said no. Both men said no. Ace Metaphor even said men don't like women.
Whatever to him, but okay.
I mean, he's still a person. He's a man, and said men don't like women. So we're having a conversation about that.
So
men hate women.
I'll be real transparent with this one. Like when I first heard that topic, I clearly didn't make a connection to what it meant, because I was thinking, men don't hate women. Well, what does that mean?
Yeah, right.
I couldn't process. It wasn't just like I hate you. It was like hate so many things about you. So I was just thinking that makes no sense. But then I thought about it honestly, and
So
I think about the water is good, isn't it?
it's so cold. Yes. Mm-hmm.
That in your past relationships that you may have had, all the things that men complain about, oh my God,
She talks so much.
You're so needy. You just need so much attention, or we have to keep going over the same things over and over again, and just almost the little things, or big things that make you soft and feminine and gentle, and are the things that they seem to dislike so much in the latter part of a relationship.
Right.
When it was the thing that they were loving on in the beginning. So I don't know if it has something to do with newness and something to do with just getting used to someone and things getting stale. And then everything starts to just irritate the shit out you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Even your name. Oh my God, I can't stand that name. But yeah, I don't know. What you think?
I mean, there's certainly a school of thought that I even believe that what attracts, to your earlier point, what attracts you often repels you in the end. Mm-hmm. So, if you were attracted to the fatty, then it's like, why you got to show that? Why is it this? Come on, cover up. That's mine. That's not everybody else's. To the general question of do men hate women, I don't think so. I think that we could all agree that everybody's mother is a woman. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it starts off like that. I think that some of the things that you see sometimes with men being a little catty is that they're picking things out, and sometimes that's a reflection of their frustrations. Mm-hmm. And so it's easy, women are, unfortunately, they can be sponges sometimes for that sort of behavior. Somebody criticizing them, somebody bringing them down. And they're an easy target because all of us are close to a woman on some level as men. So I don't know that men necessarily hate women. I think that they don't like certain things about it, and I think that sometimes that can be a reflection.
Is hate a strong word? Do you when I say you, I don't mean you personally, but does your
The
gender,
species.
the gender, do you guys generally just tolerate us? I mean, because we are very different. We are very different in how we process pain, hurt, how we process happiness, joy. We're different. We're very similar, the genders, but we're also very different. So is it a matter of you guys just tolerating us?
I don't know that we tolerate you in the context of a relationship. I mean that there is a part of that happens, but I honestly believe that it's hard to be together. It's hard to be with any other partner, person, whatever that is. So I don't know that we tolerate you as much as we probably pick our battles. Because we can't, everything that irks us, everything that drives us crazy, we can't have those arguments all the time. We can't, you can't be that wah, 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 wah person. So you pick your battles. And I think that sometimes, men, our battle style, if you're a man like me, I mean, an argument leads to a fight. So in a relationship, I can't fight you. I could, but
Oh, you mean it leads to a physical
Yeah.
altercation fight?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
we gonna argue. I'm gonna say what I have to say. I'm gonna say or do something that's gonna provoke you to, bring about some physical action or something that I feel justified in defending myself, and it's gonna be a fight. So that's not an option
Right.
as an adult, mostly.
No.
But it's definitely not an option in terms of interpersonal relationship,
Romantic relationship,
a romantic relationship with somebody of the opposite sex. And just as a man, that's not a cool thing to do. So you have to kind of walk away from those things.
Do you think that the word hate, do you think that you all, the men gender, feel like I love these things when they're working for me, when I'm receiving something from them. But the moment that I have to show that back to you to reciprocate, you hate it. Like if you're having a bad day and you need just a little tender loving care, or you need just a listening ear, just some compassion, just some empathy, just anything that just makes you feel like, you know what, it's gonna be okay. Now, if a woman needs that from you and she's not getting that from you, you're gonna hear about it. I need for you to show up. You know what I mean? I need for you to be present in this conversation, not looking for the remote or, you scrolling through your phone when I'm trying to have a real serious conversation with you. But the game might be on. But I'm just saying, it could be it could be one of those things. And even if it wasn't, even if it wasn't like a conflict of, what's on the television, it's just you being present and present long enough to feel like I'm heard and validated in some way. And then I think that men feel like, oh my God, how long are we going to talk about this? You know what I mean? We didn't we just finish this conversation, or you're bringing that up again, or you know what I mean? Like you all feel like stuff is finished way before we probably do. Because for me personally, it's not finished until I understand that you understand what I understand. Not just that you...
To the level that
Right.
I understand it to.
Right, I'm going to need to know.
Let me just start at the beginning.
I'm going to need to know. Exactly. And I don't want whatever it may be to like happen again. So I need to know that why this is important that we're talking about it. And that may be like something that you might be like, oh my God, she's so literal. And it's true.
Let me say this. Growing up, as a man, everything gets to a point. It's like we're going to agree to disagree. We're going to fight. We're going to do whatever it is that we do. And women don't really have that gear. Stuff is going to be litigated until they feel comfortable with the litigation. And even if they sidebar and say, okay, that's it for the night, a woman can wait right up the next morning, like, and another thing.
That's true.
So
if we care.
Yeah.
Because if I say, okay, we had to agree to disagree, I just don't give a fuck. I'm just tired talking to you. I'm just like, and it's not ever in a romantic relationship, because in a romantic relationship I wouldn't feel like that. But if it's a person that is like a stranger, like somebody that I've never met, somebody on social media or something, I'm just like, you really don't have the power to get me upset. You just don't. So I'm not getting ready to argue. I'm not getting ready to go, toe to toe with you. So, and I'm not gonna be coming back. And another thing is it's not gonna happen.
I do agree with what he said earlier. Excuse me. You do have to pick your battles. Everything doesn't have to be World War III, or
100%,
everything is
yeah.
not relationship
100%.
threatening,
And
everything doesn't have to be
warrant
dissected.
response.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Or more
picked apart.
importantly, you don't always have to win.
You don't have to win. You don't even have to bring certain things up. You could just let it go. You know what I mean? Especially if something may irritate me, but I already know that it was an accident. I could see that it was not intentional. That I could probably let it go, unless it was something big that I was embarrassed, or you did something that was. But normally, you can let stuff go. I can let stuff go.
I'm a big believer in no response is a response.
I do believe pick your battles wisely. You can't. Everything can't have the same response. Every infraction cannot be a 10.
Right.
Because then, right, because then now you're just a nagger. You know what I mean? And truly, that rightfully so, you would be considered a nagger, even to me. But
so let me tell you what I am seeing. What I am seeing, I see a lot of misogyny taking place on different levels, and I just mean. A lot of dislike with women, with different types of women. I see it in real life. I see it in social media. I see it in the media. So I see men disliking women, mature women, because I see it on my page, and I see it on other influencers' pages who are 50 and over, and I see the negative comments. Get your old ass off social media, blah blah blah. It's a lot of love, but it's a lot of that too. I see it with mature women. I see it with overweight women. I see it with single mothers. Those are the three biggest groups that I see it with, and I see it with women who've not had children. I see it with them too. So there's an expectation that men have of women who are over 50. You should be somewhere knitting. You should be somewhere fat and cooking chicken, frying chicken. You should.
I like fried chicken.
I mean, it's good from time to time. I see it like even with Lizzo. Now, we all know Lizzo is a big girl, but she's beautiful. She was big, but she was beautiful. And I'm not saying because let's be clear, she was a really big girl. She was beautiful. She's lost all this weight. But before, people were just like, oh, she's this, she's that, and just a lot of negative comments. And even when I see people who are in the gym on social media, just strangers, no one that I know, you're just flipping through reels and you see women in the gym and they're overweight. And it's like a lot of laughter. I'm not cool with that. I don't like to see that. And I see a lot of negative comments and dislike for that group of women. I see it for the moms. It's like men that I'm seeing in society especially, but men don't want to see those four groups of women be happy. How dare you be happy when you were put on this earth to procreate and you've not had children? I don't need to know the reason why. Maybe you couldn't, or maybe you lost a child. I don't know. But how dare you not have children? Somebody had posted a reel in which she just said she was dancing. She was a beautiful woman. She was 40 years old. She was dancing. She had on a half shirt and some jeans. Or maybe she was over 40. And she was like, I'm this and I'm not a grandma and I'm proud. She has a grown son, but people just assumed she didn't have kids. And they were lighting into her. Like, how dare you? You should put on some clothes. What? She had a crop shirt and jeans. So, and she was in her 40s. And so people were lighting her up. And she made a reel in response to that. Like, you assume that I don't have kids. But what if I do? I have an adult son. I just don't have any grandchildren. So she was celebrating like her son is successful and he's doing his thing and she doesn't have any. So it's just like I see a clear dislike in certain groups of women, and it's disheartening because it's
By men, you said.
by men. Sometimes I see it by women, which is because we need each other. So it's disheartening on that end. So when I see like the nasty comments like on my page, you know, oh, you got on a bad wig, you know, your big fake titties, you're too old, granny this and granny that. I'm like, whatever. Scroll, scroll, scroll. But and I don't like a lot of people delete negative comments from their page. I don't necessarily do that. I'm like, it's real. It's like, you know, this is what it is. It is what it is. But it's only disheartening to me because it's like, what is it in you that you're so triggered by seeing a mature woman loving herself? Or what is it in you that you see an overweight mother an overweight woman loving herself? Or a woman who's had no children, who's celebrating that she doesn't have any grandchildren and she's
Do you
40.
think that
So what is it?
part of this is that these men just don't like women, period, and that they're just using whatever they think they can use to hate on? Not necessarily like because you don't have children, you know. I think they're just, it's like just very immature, you know, just picking you apart. The Joneses, you know what I mean? Just picking you apart. I don't know if it's just
because you've seen the comments.
I certainly have seen the comments, but real quick, I just think that men, I just think that some men are unhappy with themselves. And they look at certain women and they say, I could never get her. Let me tear her down. Let me find everything that is beautiful that the world probably loves, that she loves, that makes her happy, and just find a way to rain on her parade.
And so
to make her day just as bad as mine.
And so somebody has shared exactly that with me. Like, this is what they think. I think that
was
when
a
you
smart
are
person.
Yeah. When you are unhealthy, physically unhealthy, like when your diet isn't good, when you haven't been exercising, your mind is not right. You tend to be bitter. This is you know, and I don't want to make everything about the gym like, oh, you know, you broke a toenail, you're unhappy about it, you lost your job, go to the gym, you'll feel better. But I just think that when you are not, when you're not right with, how you gonna win when you can't be right within?
Well, I mean, there may be some truth to it all, but I don't want to paint that working out that you're crazy and you're bitter.
No,
that's not it at all.
But I think that when you are unhealthy and
well, just because you don't go to the gym doesn't make you unhealthy. It just makes you not.
I didn't say that. I said when your diet is not right, and when you're not living your life right, you're unhealthy, your thought processes are different. But I do recognize too that social media is a different beast. It's just a medley of different people. Some people are just unhinged. I get that too.
So let me tell you what I saw on social media. Now it was a parody.
Okay.
And a guy, it was from a man, and he said it went something like this: I had a date, and I told her, hey, I'm gonna be there at this time because I have to go get my hair cut for our date. And she was like, okay, cool, no big deal. And so he said, so she didn't respond, so I reiterated it and said, yeah, I need to get my hair done for our date. I have to get my hair cut for our date. And when she didn't respond again, he said he lit into the woman because why wouldn't she say, I'm gonna pay for your haircut because you're going on this date with me. Yeah. And he went on and on and on and on and on. Now again, it was a parody, but he was, trying to say, women, you all want your hair done, you want your nails done, all of this to go on this date with this man. And all these guys, this is what was so peculiar. All these guys chimed in, was like, yeah, she should have gotten your haircut. Like they didn't realize it was like a parody. You know what I mean? Like, But they were like chiming in like the misogynist that you were talking about. That's what you're seeing a lot of. And I think that a lot of these men, and not all men, and not real men as far as I'm concerned, if they really feel that way, they would love to be treated like
princesses.
Yes, honestly, just exactly like a little princess. But a real man is not going to do that. He knows how to treat a woman. I believe that a real man knows that a woman is not supposed to be hard like a man. She's not supposed to be in this masculine energy and be
I totally agree.
tough and resilient all the time. That's not what attracted to that man to that woman.
I totally agree.
And whether he's tired of that woman or not, he's going to want those things from a different woman because he's attracted to women. Now, if you aren't attracted to women, then yeah, maybe all of that shit gets on your nerves.
I can talk.
Oh, hush.
First of all, you
That's
mentioned
enough. So anyway.
you mentioned social media, and I just think that number one, it's a lot of catty people on social media. Just because they can put that negative energy out there in this one way. You don't have to defend anything that you say. Mm-hmm. It's tons and tons and tons of internet gangsters.
Yeah.
That, man, you see them in person, and they like, my bestie, how you doing? Dude, what was that? Come on, bring that energy back from before. Right. That's one part of it. I want to reiterate, I don't think that men hate women. I think that sometimes the frustration that we experience or that we can see as a people is that we communicate different, we think different, we move different, we process different. And when you're in a relationship with a person, there is a part of that you have to do. Yeah. You have to. And I think that sometimes those feelings that we see and that you all have spoken about is the manifestation of that change or dealing with that change.
You mean from me to us kind of?
Or it's not all about me and you got tools that you can fight with, because I know I can hit you in the jaw, but you can work on me emotionally. And whenever a man is put into the emotional realm, he's out of his element. And what I'm saying is that I think that sometimes what we see, those things where we're being a little catty, it's just because we're not used to dealing with people emotionally. Like I see, everyone now talks about, it's almost like a buzzword where they say he lacks emotional intelligence. And I'm like, he doesn't lack it. He just hasn't had enough practice at it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sorry. If you are this old age, big old age, and you haven't had any practice at emotional maturity, that's not her problem or my problem or any other woman's problem. That's a you problem.
I mean,
I can see any examples.
Okay, absolutely. Growing up, did you play with dolls?
I did.
Did you play with dolls?
Yep.
And do you know that there's a part of that where you're learning how to be a nurturer, a caregiver, and so you're really into that emotional realm at a very young age. At 6 years old, I was learning how to play football. I was learning how to take your head off.
G.I. Joe was a doll.
I didn't have one.
I was just kidding.
And Ken was a little suspect, so let's stop playing. So, and you had the, if you had the Ken, you had the Barbie, so I wasn't comfortable in that space.
You're saying certain things are ingrained.
And you all have had an advanced start at that.
Right.
You all are caregivers.
That's a good point. We're practicing with relationships.
Yeah, and because you all give life.
But men have had so many more relationships than women.
That don't mean that they was good. If you give me,
not really.
If you give me, if I have one,
they have had more. The men that I know have had
sexual relationships. Don't that doesn't teach you emotional intelligence or emotional IQ.
If I have a 20-year relationship and then I turn around and have an 11-year relationship and then I have a turnaround, you know what I mean? That my just because I've been in a relationship for so long, it's not been that many people. It's just they just last a long time. You, on the other hand, have had many different relationships that were very meaningful to you. You can, we know of a handful. These people were important.
So now you're speaking from your perspective.
No, I'm just saying that the numbers game, and my thing is, where is the lack of experience here when it comes to emotional maturity?
Because
he hasn't had enough practice. Well, how much practice do you need?
I didn't. I mean, you all had like a 7 to 8 year head start in our
as a child.
Those are our formative years. It's
some validity to that.
Those are our formative years. I mean, because at some point at 18, I'm kind of who I am, which is when I when I personally started to really appreciate and try to love and want to be in love and all of those sort of things.
And so I think that, when you were talking about men have had more relationships, and I'm like, and I said yes and no, because sometimes their relationships are just sexual. They're not really invested.
But I clarified which ones I was talking about.
Well, yeah, but I'm not speaking from Janae's, experience or from Gary's. I'm just saying that men will have more relationships if you're on the outside looking in, because you'll see, Jeffrey with, a different woman every month.
Yeah, but we're talking about men that are claiming women. That is not just sex. I mean, people that you actually know. No, he dated her. No, they were together. No, they were, this relationship
but
was
from
going
whose
someplace.
perspective?
From just, if you, out of all the men you know, and all the women that you know, just take 3 and 3. Mm-hmm. That man, his relationship roster is going to look a lot different than hers, probably. Hers, meaning plural. And I'm just saying that when you're dealing with people, there are dynamics. No woman, no man is the same. So if he's had more partners, and not just sexual, there should not be a deficit of emotional maturity because of experience. And that is what you said. You said there was a deficit because of a lack of experience. And I'm like, experience? You've had way more experience than I have.
Okay,
I've just had longer years.
I got to stop you. Think of it this way. If it's a pension, hear me out.
I'm just saying, I'm reiterating the way you said. So if you want me to think differently about it, then
hear me out. Hear me out.
Don't make it seem like I'm crazy, though.
No. No one's crazy. No one's crazy. Or intimated or any of those things. But think of it as a pension. And the earlier you start giving into that pension, the more your money is going to grow on the back end. And that's all this is. There's a greater investment in your emotional maturity as a younger person than it was in mine, and than it is in most men. And you are not atypical in that respect. Most women start off at a very early age.
You can gaslight somebody else. I'm throwing a flag on the play.
Okay, and I mean, and that's the great thing is that we can truly agree to disagree. But there's a greater investment in emotional maturity with women and the emotional realm at a very earlier age. And there you all do, no matter how we look at it, in my world, you have like a 5 to 6 to 7 year head start on that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Gary. Just because I played with dolls and you didn't, doesn't make you less experienced.
I want to be clear that I didn't want to play with dolls.
I get it.
I'm good on the dolls.
I get it. But I'm not gonna roll with, oh yeah, I played with dolls, so I'm just emotionally more mature because I had 7 years of doll playing while you played, Nerf football.
Let me say this. Okay, so
I'm not doing that.
Let me say this. I know you said think about the men that I know. I know some men who are our age, who on the outside, yes, have had a roster. And in their minds, they have had some relationships. But to me, when they tell me about it, I'm like, but you didn't really give yourself to that person. You didn't really emotionally open up. You didn't really. So that's what I'm saying. It looks like it, but when I talk to people that I know from,
but that's your perspective.
No, they didn't do it.
Maybe to their ability they did.
So those men, I don't think, really like women. And yeah, it is.
And they might not like women.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we're talking about. But I don't know if it's necessarily because of any of the other things, because you're fat or because you're skinny or because you're pretty or because you're not.
No, I think that those were smoke screens. I think that's always a smoke screen. I think the underlying truth is
they're miserable.
They're miserable. It's who they they're projecting. They're unhappy with themselves for
And it
whatever
doesn't matter
reason.
what you look like or who you are or
That's
what you
correct. Yeah.
do. They're gonna find something to tear you down, to
Yeah.
hurt you
That's
because
right.
they're hurt.
Or at least to try to tear you down.
Well,
That's true.
I certainly agree with that premise that there exists a segment of people that, in order for them to be big, they have to make you small.
Right.
And I don't think that all men are like that, but I mean, we see a lot of it, and any one is magnified because it's like it's 10 times happening because you see it and it's so egregious. And I get it, and I don't agree with it, but I do think that, there are men who are out here that, they dislike the things about women, the things that women represent, especially a strong woman.
Yeah.
That
I
is
totally agree with
that is very threatening
totally agree
to
with that.
an insecure man.
Yeah.
And there's 3 different shows just right there in that topic.
Right.
So, but I do believe that there is a segment of the population that they are getting better. They are able to process their feelings and thoughts and communicate them, and they have a level of emotional security that gives us all hope. But there's also that segment that they give a bad name to the many, and those are unfortunately the ones that will pop out on your post, on your whatever. Them dudes, they different. They'll go to a march. We're marching against women. Oh, bro.
We're gonna march on them.
Right. I'm with the marching on them. I got some different ideas when we get there.
Let me grow these clogs.
Nah, but so I think that it's unfortunate because at the end of the day, we all kind of should be on the same team,
100%. We need each other.
and we should all strive to get
The
better.
world would be extinct without one another.
Yeah.
So
And we all should be at a space where we're learning to communicate better. We're learning to articulate our feelings. We're learning to work with each other. And unfortunately for a lot of people, they don't get to those spaces until very, very, very late in life.
the problem is the big problem is late in life is different for everybody. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You may not have time to evolve and grow and emotionally mature.
Well, in the words of Martin Luther King, everybody might not get there with us.
Exactly. This is true though. So while you are busy being an asshole and tearing everybody, apart because they're doing something that makes them happy or just being happy, being an internet bully, but you're tearing down the one thing that saves the world. We birthed the world. The one thing that you absolutely need.
Or somebody that you could, like you say, somebody that you could team up with, and you could be a better version of yourself.
But if this is someone who has all of these issues within themselves, they do need to figure out, why am I so bitter towards this woman? I don't know her.
Yeah.
I don't know her.
It's-
She's never done anything to me. She's a stranger. You know what I mean, on the internet.
So why am I so triggered?
Why am I so
Because sometimes, have you ever found
vested in
yourself
this?
upset with something, and sometimes you have to talk to yourself like, what's the root of my problem? Why am I really upset? And you have to sit back, whether it's you're directing it at a lover or your child or or just a friend or a situation. Sometimes I have to sit back and think, why am I really upset? Okay, wait a minute. And you have to talk to yourself.
Yeah.
You have to have sometimes in order to have a conversation with someone else, I was telling you this the other day. In order to have a conversation with someone else, in order for you to make it right with someone else, you got to get right within. You got to have a conversation with yourself. So you have to be able to process your own thoughts before you start projecting and just spewing out things. So sometimes when I see people going hard in the paint, at someone, whether it's my page or directing it toward, an overweight woman who's working out and she failed because she tried to box jump. And then people are really going hard. I'm like, why is this really funny to you? Because a person falling can't be that damn funny. So what is it does it make you feel better about yourself because you feel like, okay, I'm not that big, or why are you and people who just have conversations and just and Facebook fights all day long, why are you really triggered?
Some people do have very obscure sense of humor. I get that. And I get that certain things can be funny. But when you are just constantly doing this, you're looking for someone, you're just trying to make a mockery of someone. That's the bad part. But what you had spoken about before and what we had talked about before, I think that for me, I am very in tune to what I feel in my body. It starts in my chest. And if I am annoyed, I'm like, you know what? I feel anxious. You know what I mean? And that's when I know what to do.
Central nervous system starts to.
I'm like, okay, I got to take 5 for a second. Right. I got to do some deep breathing because I'm taking something out on this person.
Right.
When it has nothing to do with you, is what I feel. But I am smart enough to know what's going on in my body, and I know how to self-regulate.
Right.
Everybody doesn't know how to self-regulate, which is when they start to project and fire and, you know what I mean, hurt.
Fire off rounds on social media.
But it's easier for me to be on, not me, but proverbially me. It's easier for me to be on offense, me to point out all your weaknesses, make myself bigger by making you look smaller. Because the other part of that conversation is that once I had that conversation with myself about myself, the next step is to take those things,
right?
And I have to really look at myself for who I am. You know, is this really important? In the grand scheme of things, what does this really mean?
Right.
And those are very hard questions.
They are.
You know, when I get those answers, I'm not comfortable sometimes because I'm looking in the mirror and I really don't like the person that I see.
So avoid.
So but it's easier. You're an easier target. You're an easier target because I can project the things on you, and I can take the things that are the most obvious. And I can come out with those, or the 3 things that I'm not that you are, the 3 things that I'm not that you are, and I can make those things
negative.
And I can exactly, and I can make those things the baseline of the conversation. In reality, and I don't care who the person is, you have way more in common with that person than you don't. But when we start to negotiate or we start to interact based on our differences, or those things that make me bigger and you smaller, it's unfair from the jump. That's never going to be a good situation. That's never going to be, oh, I was just joking, or I was just playing, or you know how I am. No, I don't. I know how what you did made me feel. And that's the basis of where we have to kind of establish that, hey, we're going to work from this space.
Then that's what you just said. You know how I am. That's just what I do. That's something that we need to call people on the carpet about. Like, that's not cool. Because there's a lot of things that I see and I just will scroll past it and I won't comment because I'm like, it's super negative already. I don't even want to. But then sometimes I just feel like, for instance, like I have a bunch of recipes that I would love to put out there, right? But I refuse to do it because when I go to the recipe people's pages, you know, it could be like, oh, this is a dessert. It's natural. You know, just use some strawberries, a teaspoon of honey, a little bit of cinnamon, and then you'll see a comment, honey, that's sugar. Why don't you just die? Stand in front of moving traffic, why don't you? You know, you're going to kill everybody with diabetes. It's just like, what? What's happening here? It could just be anything. You know, avocado, that's not healthy, it's full of fat, you know.
I don't think that
I just can't understand why they're so negative.
I don't think that we can or should live in fear of what somebody's going to do. That's not really aligned.
No, not fear. I said we need to start calling people.
Is it men who say stuff like that?
Oh, it's all of them. They are. That's what I'm saying. The world's full of unhappy people, and we should just start to say, if you don't like it, scroll on.
Well, people do say that. But yeah,
but not enough because I'll just leave it.
Everybody doesn't.
And I'm careful not to get into arguments with people that I don't think, share, a similar mental capacity.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm trying not to use the word stupid or slow or any of those things that we put out there.
My favorite word is unhinged because some people just really are.
Yes.
Bitter and unhinged.
But I don't, I'm careful about my engagement with people that I don't think alike, because sometimes the danger in that is that you end up spending a lot of time going back and forth with a person that's not really trying to do better, or the real danger. Some of that craziness can start to make sense.
That's what you said last week, but I don't know if I agree with that.
I don't know about that making sense.
Me either.
It's not all of it, Craziness never just, like one day you went to bed and you woke up.
It's not gonna just
So
all of a
going
sudden
back
sound
to
like
the
it's
subject,
rational.
when I see negative comments on I made a post about bullying, the bully comments that I see. And why did I do this reel? It was not a post, it was a reel. And why did I do this? It was just a trend that I saw. Like, these are the comments I hear most. I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna put out some of the stuff that I hear most. And really, there was a lot of very supportive and loving comments from people I do know, from people I don't know. But 99% of the negative, mean, and just crazy comments
Or men.
were men. Were black men. Let me be very specific. And I can even drill it down a little further. They were black and overweight.
I think that we all have, or we all know of people that they're just bitter. They're out here on the internet, and they're men and women. And we know people that just sit up and troll for opportunities to spew that negative, their negative ideology. And that's unfortunate. And those are the people that I'm also trying to avoid, because it's just, sometimes when you are around something long enough, you catch the stench of it. And it may not affect you or really change you, but you carry that stench around with you until it wears off. And I'm big.
Because we're human.
Yeah, and I'm a big energy person now, so I don't.
You can pick up good habits from people. You can pick up bad habits from people.
Yeah, I don't want the negative energy at all. I'd rather just
I'm with you on that.
I'm not correcting you. I'm not trying to get you better. Now, if I care about you and there's an opportunity for you to get better, I'm gonna shoot my shot. But if I deem, and I mean, I'm not all knowing or all right or even all wrong, but if I don't feel like there's a chance where you can be redeemed, I'm gonna let you persist in your BS.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much work.
I agree with that. I agree.
Work that you aren't even getting paid for.
That.
Right. That's you and your therapist's time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good conversation. I would love for you guys to chime in on this. I still have a lot of questions.
We want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
So,
do you all notice this as well? I mean, we have. We want to know what you have. What's your experience with this? Have you been attacked?
Are you a man who hates women? Have you seen that on social media or in real life?
If you are that man, tell us why. I mean, is there something that we aren't seeing that we need to see that we don't understand? This is a platform to lay it out. I mean,
lay it all on the table.
All on the table. Nobody seems to be short of words.
This is your chance to dance
behind their computer. So
you can't.
That's true.
You can't say dance on the air.
Dance.
As long as she's not singing. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate it. And remember, we are on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, and iHeartRadio as well. So the older episodes are being loaded on first and then the new ones. So just to let you know, we're there.
Come check us out.
Can we get a shout out to my muscle here? I just always had average arms. I'm seeing a little definition right here. Okay.
I see them.
You see a little definition?
I see it.
I know.
Girls with guns.
Now,
Girls with
she got
guns.
Baby.
All right,
coming
guys.
in. All right. Thanks for tuning in, you guys.
Appreciate you.
All right. Good night.
Get this one right here.
Thank you.
That one. This one is right there.
And then right there.